Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be going over my December 2023 reading wrap up. There was quite a bit. There's a reason this is actually coming out later. Normally this comes out pretty early, normally before a TBR, but I just kept putting it off because there is so many things to talk about. Including DNFs. I had like the thumbnail that you saw is not even half of the books that I read because, well, it's probably more than half. But I read a bunch of books on Kindle this month as well, so there's just a lot. There's a lot. We are going to talk about DNFs first. I actually DNF'd 4 books this month. 4 books, which is a lot. First up, we have A Light from Uncommon Stars. I am really disappointed that I didn't like this. And I don't think this has anything to do with the writing or really anything about the book. It's just the subject matter and personally the writing style for me just doesn't work. I think it's written well, but for my brain, it just was not clicking. It was not clicking. I didn't like the style. I didn't like how many bouncing perspectives we were kind of having in this book. So I made it to maybe 50 pages and I was like, you know what? I know I'm not gonna like this, so I did just end up DNFing it. But this one is following our main character. See, they have multiple main characters. This also was confusing. Shizuka Satomi, she made a deal with the devil to deliver 7 violin prodigies, trading souls, etc. And if she does that, she'll save her own soul. And that's one of the perspectives. And then she meets a really amazing violin player. And then there's also like an alien donut shop owner, and it just seemed like cozy sci-fi, and it just didn't work for me. It didn't work for me. I really am happy that a lot of people seem to like this, but for me, it just did not hit. Next up, we have another one that, again, it hit for a lot of people, but it did not for me. Bright Young Women. I got 100 pages into this one, and again, it was a writing style issue. I even tried the audiobook for this one, and it made it almost worse, which is weird because Sutton Foster reads some of this, and I love Sutton Foster. So the fact that she couldn't even save it for me just didn't work. This was a writing style problem. I was generally just very bored. I did not like the main character's narration. So even though the subject matter is very interesting, my brain is not going to get past the way that the story is actually told. So this one, again, is a pass. This, I love the premise of this. This is a inspired by Ted Bundy story. So somebody called Ted Bundy a, bright young man. So the author took that and said bright young women. And Ted Bundy is actually never named in this. The killer is never given a name. He just exists, which I also love that concept. Again, I love the concept of this. This is not a book issue. This is like we just don't jibe. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you just don't get along with a book, and this is one of those situations. I don't think it's a bad book. We just don't get along. So it's following like some of the victims of the crimes that were committed and the aftermath and the suffering that follows. So again, think I would probably really like this if the writing style was different. This next one has been getting a lot of bad reviews. This one, again, I don't think the writing style is bad. I don't think, none of these are an issue with writing style. I don't hate any of these books. They just don't work for me. And that's Silver Nitrate by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. This, I really liked the beginning of it. I really liked the beginning of it. This one I DNF later. I want to say I DNF about 100 pages. Normally I give books 50 to 100 pages. If I DNF under 50, I don't talk about them. But to me, it just, again, it didn't work and it's not worth talking about and give a negative review. So this was just weird. This, again, not the writing style because I've liked a Sylvia Moreno Garcia before. This was definitely content. This was just strange. Again, I loved probably the first 50 pages. And then the second they started talking about the weird magic and the cults, and it would go on and on for pages about rambling nothingness with references to people that I didn't understand or didn't know. And it just was annoying. It started getting really annoying. So maybe this was a bit of the writing style. So generally this was subject matter, the way that it was written. I didn't like the way the material was presented in this book. It was very info dumpy. Like, here, this is all the information you need to understand about this stuff. And it was just dumped on you over pages. And then it would get into interesting stuff again. And then it was dumped on you in pages. And the scary part that I got to was amazing, but it didn't continue with that. It just got more rambly and confusing. And I was like, The scary part was good, but it was not reading, like, worth reading the rest of this. So yeah, this was definitely DNF, which is sad. This was an Evernight book. And again, I'm still waiting to like a Silvia Moreno Garcia as much as I loved Mexican Gothic. And so I've read that one. I've DNF'd, what is it? Certain Dark Things. DNF'd this one, and I did not like one other book. I cannot remember the other. I never can remember the other one. It's not looking good. It's really not looking good. So yeah, this is a DNF. And the final DNF that I tried so hard to get into. This one seems really, really interesting, but we are continuing my march down the path of not enjoying Greek retellings. It's just, I just don't like them. I don't know what it is. Percy Jackson, so Lore by Alexandra Bracken is the closest I've gotten to liking one. I actually liked that book, but it was because it was so separated from the Greek mythology. You really didn't interact with any of the Greek gods like at all. So the books that you're interacting with the Greek gods more in is what I'm not liking. That's why Percy Jackson is like okay, like you're still interacting with probably too many, but it's separated enough that I like it decently. And then I liked Lore, but this is directly a Daphne and Apollo romance. And I just, Lore Olympus, I love Lore Olympus. But after like reading Lore Olympus and seeing what Apollo is like, I think I just have the Greek mythologies too ingrained in me because I love Greek mythology separate, like actual storytelling of Greek mythology, not in fiction. And I think that's the problem because the romance, I was like, Apollo sucks. Like, he sucks. So I just couldn't enjoy anything about this. So this one I did push. I got to 150 pages of this one and I just didn't want to read it anymore. I wasn't having any connections, which sucks because I loved the first like 50 pages. And then the second that Apollo was introduced, I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm done. I really just wanted to read a story about a strong woman in Sparta doing really cool things. That's what I really wanted to read about, and instead it turned into Greek mythology thing. So I'm sad. I'm sad. This is a DNF. Again, not a writing style problem. I think a lot of people are gonna love this book. I think it's a very interesting story, but for me, didn't work. Okay, next we were moving into a couple of rereads. I will talk about a different reread later because I have more to talk about it. And these I've just reread so many times. I reread Heartstopper volumes 1 through 4. It's about Nick and Charlie being adorable. That's all this series is about. I feel like everyone knows at this point. I read all 4 of these because number 5 was coming out, and these are just really nice when you're having a really bad time. I'm pretty sure I reread 1 through 3 like in October when I was having a bunch of medical problems. But I also added number 4, which is a little more depressing, so that I knew what was happening before volume 5 came out. And yeah, I really don't need to talk anymore about these, but I did reread these 4. Now we're moving on to the ebooks that I read. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6, and 2 of them are audiobooks, but I just kind of lump them into like e-formats, like online formats. So first one that I read, I guess actually the first one that I read audio was one that I also have a physical copy, so I am saving that one, but I did listen to that one with the audiobook, but I'll skip that one for now. The one that I don't have a physical copy and I read via audiobook and ebook is All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby, and I really, really like this one. This was kind of my win from trying to read all of the mystery thriller category, which again, I scrapped those vlogs just because I didn't have anything else more to say about it. But this was a huge surprise. I normally don't love gritty, kind of true crimey feeling thriller mystery fiction. This definitely focused more on the town dynamics and the family dynamics than the actual mystery thriller. The weakest part of this book was the mystery thriller, but the town dynamics were so interesting, the family dynamics were so interesting, that I ended up absolutely loving this book. So we were following a black sheriff who kind of was just, I think he was just put into office, and he was taking over for an incredibly racist previous sheriff. And if you don't know anything about sheriff's offices, once a new sheriff is put in, they can basically clean house and kind of pick their own people and their own administration, etc., to go along with what their platform is and they're trying to do. So he basically overhauls this and is trying to bridge the gap between the incredibly racist white side of town and the very distrustful black side of town. And it's just, it's a horrible position for him to be in. He's hated on both sides because now his own community doesn't trust him because he has a badge on, and the white people are not giving him as much lip because they know he can be arrested, but obviously they are still incredibly racist, and there's like KKK there, and it's it's wild. It is absolutely wild. So you kind of are behind the scenes with the sheriff dealing with all of that at the same time. And it's a lot because he also has to deal with the relationship with his dad and the complicated relationship with his brother and his girlfriend. And it's a lot. So that's kind of like the backbone of the story. In the background though, are dealing with a murder mystery kind of thing going on where it opens up with I've definitely checked trigger warnings. It opens with a very traumatic scene, and a lot of people are thinking that this kid, something was wrong with him, and you find out that there's like a pedophilia ring and they're trying to solve that. Kind of as the background. It's supposed to be that as kind of the forefront, but it really is the family drama and the town drama as the forefront. I loved it. I just thought it was so good, and it was very well written. It was so well written, and I listened to this on an audiobook, and I did the ebook, but I think the audiobook was really, really good. So that was my biggest surprise probably this month, and it was fantastic. I ended up giving it a 4-star. I realized I never gave a rating for it. I gave it 4 stars. I gave it 4 stars, really good. Next one that I read, if you've probably seen my worst books of 2023, I read The Ruins by Scott Smith. That's not good. I gave it a 1 star. I really wanted to read some traditional, this is from 2006, horror books that a lot of people have read. And this also had a movie out, so I wanted to watch the movie, but I wanted to read the book first. So I read the book, and it's why I'm so suspicious about reading horror books written by men, because it was like, I said it again in the worst books, but one of the descriptions was they see a hill and they describe it as a breast. And I was just like, why would you do that? Like, that is so unnecessary and weird. It's weird. Don't describe things like that. It's so weird. Don't do that. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Nah, it's not that hard. Don't do it. But we're following a group of friends who go out to this supposed archaeological dig site, and there's something weird going on. The locals don't want them to go over there, but there's a language barrier issue, so they don't really understand the locals and what they're trying to say. So they go anyway, and then the locals basically keep them trapped there, and mayhem, gory, very disturbing things happen after that. It is a classic horror format where it's depressing, and I just really didn't enjoy it. Next one that I listened to an audiobook was A Headful of Ghosts. This is another big surprise. I don't know what I had such a hard time rating this one. I had such a hard time rating this one, but I think I'm going to go with I'm between a 3.5 and a 4. I'm between a 3.5 and a 4. I really, really like this one. I don't know if I love the more ambiguous ending of this one. I kind of wish I had done a full review to talk about the ending and see what other people thought about it. But at this point, I read this long enough ago that it's not super sticking with me. I definitely would have to like reread it, and I don't really know if I want to do that. So I feel like that alone, it's more of like a 3.5. We were following this family, and mostly through the perspective of a younger sister, and basically the older sister seems to be possessed, and the family ends up having a priest and a film crew come in, and they film the possession and the exorcism that's taking place, and it's told in different points of view and timelines. So you have like a blog post run by this woman who is like breaking down the episodes, which is so cool. And then you also have a current day timeline of the youngest daughter talking about the experience with a reporter like 20 years later, and talking about how she feels about it and what happened. And it's just really good. It's told really, really well. The ending is ambiguous and kind of is like, like it really makes you think at the end, like, what actually happened? So it's kind of creepy at the end, and I really like it. So see, when I'm talking about, I'm like, is it a 4? Is it a 4? 3.75. We'll go 3.75. But this was a surprise. I ended up really liking this, and now it kind of makes me want to read more Paul Tremblay books, because I think it was very well written, and how the story was told was just really good. The next one that I read via ebook was Magnolia Parks. Again, if you guys watch surprises or best books honorable mentions at the beginning of that best books video, and you know that I absolutely love this book. I gave this a 4.75 just because there was a few nitpicky things that I just could not give it a 5. I could not give it a 5 because a couple of things, but we were following Magnolia Parks, who is dealing with the fallout of a relationship that ended 3 years ago. And her and BJ are like soulmates. They love each other, and they just cannot shake each other. But at the same time, they're constantly hurting each other and dating other people, but still falling back into like things with each other. And it's just, It is so difficult. It was so hard to read. I got a lot more emotional meaning from this book than I feel like a lot of people did. I think it was supposed to just be like a fun reality TV almost feeling book where it's just drama, drama, drama. For me, it was like seeing to the heart of a complicated human relationship because they dated for so long. They've known each other for so many years. It's hard to just get rid of somebody like that when you think that they're your soulmate. So I love seeing the complicated relationship, and it just felt more honest than a lot of books that I read about breakups. So I really, really liked it. I can see why people did not like it. 100% can see why people did not like it, but I loved it. Next, I read Nimona. I've been hearing Nimona. It's a graphic novel that it was fine. I give it a 2-star. I really didn't like the ending. It was okay. I didn't like the humor as much, but it's following a girl who decides to work for a supervillain, and she's trying to help him with his mission, but she's kind of insane. Like, she is the epitome of chaotic evil. And you just kind of don't know what's going on with her, and there definitely seems to be something odd going on with her that the evil villain cannot figure out. And he's not exactly evil, like, you figure out what's going on as it goes on. But I really just didn't like the ending, otherwise it would have been a 3. It was fine. It was fine. Don't really have anything else to say other than that. And then the final one that I read in, I keep saying online format, it was an audiobook. I ended up listening to Comfort Me with Apples. I give this a 4-star. I really liked it. I really, really liked it. It is a mix of The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey and The Stepford Wives. I obsessed. And I did not see the end coming. I should have seen the end coming. I thought it was like magical realism, but it's not how they were naming things. And when I got to the end, I was like, I should have known that this was happening. And I loved it. Like I said, 4-star, bordering closer to 4.5 up to 5. So I loved it. It was so good, especially for such a short book. Like, I think the audiobook was like 2 hours long or something. It's so short, but phenomenal. We're following a woman who lives in this like perfect, like I said, Stepford Wives community. And people keep asking her, like, are you doing okay? Are you okay? And you find out that this other girl has gone missing and she's a criminal. And she starts noticing some very strange things about her husband that she doesn't really want to. Like, she lives in this perfect, peaceful world, and it's kind of shattered when she starts realizing other things are going on. And it's so good. It's heartbreaking too. If I was home and not at work, I listened to it while I was at work. If I was home, I would have been sobbing. I would have been absolutely sobbing by the end, but I was at work, so I was like, keep it in. Keep it in. Don't do this here. You can't do that here. But yeah, I absolutely love that one. Okay, that is all I have for ebooks. We are moving on to our physical books. So the very first physical book that I read this month was Belladonna. This is a 5-star. I love this book. This was in my honorable mentions. This is following our main character, Signa, and as a baby, some traumatic things happen, and she was basically supposed to die, but instead she seems to be incapable of dying, and it connects her to Death, who is our other main character, which is amazing. I thought that Death as a character was actually phenomenal. I was a little worried about how it would be done, but I really like the relationship and the magic and kind of how it's done. So yeah, it's following Signa and Death. Signa just seems to have terrible luck in her life, and she has moved from guardian to guardian to guardian, and finally she winds up at this house that the matriarch of the family just died, and Signa starts to realize that it kind of seems suspicious. So her and Death and some of the other family members start to actually question what really happened, and this is like a murder mystery. It's a romance with Signa and Death, but also a murder mystery, and it was so much fun. Like, I actually absolutely love this book, which is obviously I did because I gave it a 5-star, and it wasn't only in honorable mentions because I can see this kind of fading from my mind after a while, unlike my other 5 stars that I put on that list, but it definitely deserves that honorable mention because this is fantastic. The next one that I read is actually for our November book club pick, and it was None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. I think I just don't like Lisa Jewell. This I gave a 1-star. I gave this a 1-star. This did end up making my worst books of the year list. I just really didn't like the I don't know how much I can talk about it. There's a pedophile situation in this where they basically want you to feel bad for the pedophile because of elder abuse things happening. It was just very strange. It was very strange. It's following your 2 main characters. One is absolutely unhinged, and the other one is a podcaster who gets involved with the unhinged lady and her life story because she wants to make a podcast about it, and it just goes from there. There is not much else I can say about it because there's just a lot of drama in this, and I just didn't like it. It also has an ambiguous ending if you don't like ambiguous endings, and it just didn't work. It didn't work for me. I love the people who love this. This clearly has a lot of fans, but I did not like it. I didn't like it. This was one of my worst thriller mysteries of the year, which The Coworker was worse. The Coworker was worse. I'm just thinking that maybe Lisa Joel isn't for me because I did DNF the night she disappeared because I didn't like the writing style. So I'm really curious if I just don't like Lisa Joel. I'm gonna try one more to see if it's just 2 books that I picked up were not the right ones, or it's sometimes you just don't work with an author well. So we're gonna try out another one, but yeah, this was a 1 star. The next one that I read was Gear Breakers. This was a surprising win. I feel like I'm ruining the video by talking about these books, but I was working on a vlog where over the year, my husband has picked out books for me, and I've been reading them, and this is one of them. And I ended up giving this a 4 star. I love this. This is kind of what kicked off my sci-fi fanaticism going into this year, because this was so much fun. We're following our 2 main characters. What are their names? I've read so many books. Eris and Sonia. And they are very different people. One of them is a gear breaker, where that's the type of person that basically is a rebel and they are attacking these giant mecha things. And then our other main character is actually one of the drivers of the mechas. But there's a lot of history behind both of them and why they do what they do. And it is also a sapphic romance, and it's just so good. It's so much fun. It is action-packed. I was worried this was just going to be like a rinse and repeat of Pacific Rim, which I do love, so I would have been okay with that, but it's not. It's not. This is way different. I feel like fans of Attack on Titan might actually like this. This is definitely like not as graphic or violent as Attack on Titan, but I could see people liking it. It has a lot of similar rebellion things going on, just minus the creepy monsters. Instead, you have the big mechas. So I loved it. I thought it was great. I am currently working on the 2nd book, which is Godslayer. So very much enjoying this series. Next, we have my best book of the year, Heartstopper number 5. I adored this. I absolutely adored this. Obviously, I can't really talk about it because this is number 5 in the series, but I did read the first 4 also in this month again for the millionth time, because I've reread the first one and the second one like a million times. Third one and fourth one not as much, but yeah, the first one especially, I've read that one a lot. But anyway, this series is following Nick and Charlie. If you don't know already, I feel like there's not many people who don't know what this is about, but this is following Nick and Charlie, and they start up a relationship, and it's just so cute. It's coming of age stories. It talks about some difficult subjects, so always check trigger warnings for things like this, but it is just a sweet coming of age, learning to love yourself kind of series. And this is the 2nd to last volume, which is so depressing. Next year, I think next year, the 6th volume is coming out, or the 6th volume is supposed to be the last one. I don't know when exactly it's coming out, but yeah, I guess I said next year, but it's this year. 2024, I think, is when it's supposed to come out, but yeah. It was so good. It was so good, and there's a reason that this is one of my all-time favorite series, like, ever. And it definitely deserves that number 1 position of favorite books of 2023. The next one was a reread and also was a book club pick in the middle of the year. It is Trust of the Emerald Sea. I wanted to reread this with my husband because he hadn't read this, and we read Frugal Wizard's Guide together, ended up loving it. So I was like, maybe if I read it with him, I'll like it more. Because sometimes when I read with him, it's just more fun because he likes talking through books a lot. So it's a lot of fun buddy reading with him. It didn't change my opinion of this. He did have a higher I think he gave this a 4. I think he gave this like a 3.5 to a 4. This is a solid 3 for me. I felt bored, even more bored than the first time in the places that I felt bored before. I enjoyed the stuff that I enjoyed the first time. And it just, my opinion really just solidified to this is just a fine book. I'm glad I read it a 2nd time because it really kind of like stuck in there like, yeah, it was fine. It was fine. It was fine. Again, controversial still from the first time around. This is on a lot of people's favorites list this year, but it was okay. It's just an okay book that I probably won't really remember too much in a couple years. And then the very last book that I read this month or this year actually, is Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. I ended up giving this a 4 star, which is very controversial according to the book club, which I need to go. That's what I'm doing after this video, is going and responding to comments for the last couple of videos, including the book club video. My book club hated this. They absolutely hated this. And I get it. This is not one of those books that I'm like, oh, I don't understand why no one. No, I get it. I 100% understand why people did not like this book. I liked it. I didn't like the first like 40% of it, but I loved the back half of this book. I ended up getting invested in the romance, not too much, but enough that I enjoyed it. And that ending like killed me. The ending was so good. It was one of my favorite cliffhangers I read in a very, very long time. So I am so excited to get the next book. And I really thought I was gonna like this originally because I just love Chloe Gong's writing style. And These Violent Delights is one of my favorite duologies like ever. So I really thought I would like this, and then I saw everyone hating it and I was like, oh, I'm probably gonna hate this. And it ended up being one of my most surprising books because I thought I would love it and then I thought I would hate it and then I ended up loving it. So I don't know, it's a very confusing situation. But yeah, I just really enjoyed this. And oh yeah, we're following our main character Kala and a couple other characters. And this is basically in this almost dystopian, this is sci-fi to me. This is listed as fantasy, but this is sci-fi. And there is this like death games going on and our main character has to get in them because she is a hidden princess who wants retribution for things that are going on in these cities, and she just wants to do things. It's like, I don't know how much is a spoiler, so we'll just say she wants to do things. And then one of our other perspectives is someone who also has their reasons for being in the death games and they end up teaming up. And then the other perspective, because there's three main perspectives, is the prince of the current regime, and he also wants to do things. That's all you're getting. That's the best description I can give you. So anyway, yeah, I give this a 4-star. Big surprise this month. I really did like this book. Yeah, that is everything that I read in December of 2023, the last month of 2023. I think it was a really good reading month. I had an amazing reading month in December. Like, yeah, I had a bunch of DNFs, but it's not like I hated any of them. I didn't hate any of the DNFs. They all could have been like, they were probably, if I finished them, they all would have been about 3 stars. So they're just fine. I just didn't feel the need to read them. And then I only had really one book, none of this is true, that oh yeah, In the Ruins. I just keep forgetting about that one, that I really didn't like. And that's kind of sad because yeah, both of them did end up on my worst books, but like, I don't know. I read so many other good things this month, especially like Magnolia Parks, Comfort Me with Apples, Donna, Immortal, Longings, Heartstopper 6. There's just so many good things this month that I read that they so far outweigh the not good. So I had a phenomenal December reading month, which is so great to end the year that way because it's like all I want to do is read. All I want to do is read going into 2024, which is so much fun. So I'm going to take advantage of it and read a lot. And yeah, I'm just really excited about it. Yeah, anyway, make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it. Make sure you comment down below about what books you read in December, about what books you want to read in January, etc. Your favorite books from December, your least favorite books in December, all the things. I always say that, but all the things. And of course, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future content. We got lots of things coming in January. So many things coming in January, so many things coming in February. Don't forget to start reading The Unmaking of June Pharaoh if you want to be a part of our book club this month. And yeah, I'm really excited to read that one. That one is going to be so good. I'm hoping that we redeem last month because yikes, you guys really did not like last month's pick. I feel so bad about it. But anyway, that is all I have for you today. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day and I'll see you in the next video.